Hey, hello parents, how are you doing? Happy Monday. Today is the beginning of our week. I'm going to go through the homework with you on today. Today's homework is lesson 6, session 3. We are multiplying with the number 4. So again, just to reiterate the things we have already multiplied with, we've multiplied our zeros, ones, twos, threes. We're doing 4 now, 5, we are doing 6, I believe, on tomorrow, and then we've done 10. So make sure you're practicing your skip counting with those numbers, because remember, if you can skip count, you can multiply. Also, just a couple of announcements. Tomorrow is Grandparents' Day, so make sure that if you are coming for Grandparents' Day, make sure you come on tomorrow. And report cards go out on Thursday, so be looking forward to that as well. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and jump in today. So I'm gonna start with the first problem, and we are on page 141. And it says, solve problems 1 and 2 to find how many are in 3 groups of 4. So it says for number 1, find 3 times 4 by breaking apart the array or by changing the order of the factors. So today, we focus mainly on 2 different strategies. It's the break apart strategy that we started on last week, when we take the large array, break it into 2 smaller ones, solve the 2 smaller ones, then add it back together so we can get the answer for the big one. So we did that today, and then we did another strategy today where we actually took the big array and turned it so it'll give us a different array, but it'll give us easier numbers to multiply by, because it's probably numbers that we've already practiced skip counting with. So I'm going to show you exactly what that is. So let's go ahead and get started. So number 1, they tell us find 3 times 4 by breaking apart the array. So I already drew the array right here, and they want us to break it apart. So when we break it apart, we can break it apart into 2 different ways. One way is that you can draw a line. So the kids were taught to draw a line. They can draw a line here and break it apart to where you have 1 column and 3 columns. So that would be 2 separate arrays, one with 1 and one with 3. Or the way that we really practice today is to do it straight down the middle. So if we do it straight down the middle, then we'll have 2 and 2, which makes it easier to solve because it'll be the same multiplication equation. So let's go ahead and solve this. So how we did in class today, once we break it apart, we split it in half. This is 1 array, this is 2 arrays. So now we say, what is the multiplication equation that I can write for this? Remember, when we write our multiplication equation, the first number is going to be your rows times the second number, which is the columns. And then the last number is going to be the total or your product. So if I look at this, okay, this array right here, well, I have 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, so my first number is going to be 3. And then I have 1 column, 2 columns, so 2 columns are 2 in each row, so 2. Now, because we've practiced skip counting by 2s, we can go ahead and skip count this. Before, it was 3 rows of 4. Well, we can't really skip count that for some of our kids yet because we just started 4s today. So they break it up into something that we've already practiced, and we practice our 2s, which is why they made us split it up or break it apart into 2s. It's easier for the kids to skip count because they've already been practicing that. 4s, not so much. Some kids may know how to skip count by 4, some kids may not. So that's why we did the break apart. So now that I've broken apart, and now I need to figure out what's the total of 3 times 2. Well, because we skip counted by 2s, we should already know how to do this. So I'm going to do the skip count on the side. This will be 2, then 4, then 6. Okay, so that tells me that the total for this array on this side is 6. Okay, now I'm going to do this side, this second array. So again, I'm going to draw my lines. Remember, first line is the rows, second line is the column, and the last line is your total. So when I go to this side, well, on this side I have 1, 2, 3 rows again, so 3 is first. and then I have 2 columns, 1, 2, or you can say 2 in each row. It's still the same. Now we need to figure out what's the total. So in order to figure out what the total is, again, there are 2 in each row, so we can skip count by 2 because we've been practicing those 2's. So this will be 2, 4, 6. So now I know this one is 6. So now I have my equations for the first side of this array and the second side over here. Now that I know what both sides are, the thing we're going to do now is put them back together. So we're going to put it back together. Well, how do you put it back together? We're going to add them back together. So you take your totals, and the total is 6, and this total is 6. We're going to make an addition sentence. So we're going to do 6 plus 6, and this will equal 12. So now we know that 3 times 4, which I'm going to write over here, because that's what we're trying to figure out. 3 times 4 is going to be 12. Once we put it back together, we got the answer of 12. So this is the break apart way. And I'll go ahead and write break apart on top. Now there's another strategy that we learned because it also said by changing the order of the factors. That's the way when we take the array and we turn it. So say for instance we have this array. I'm going to rewrite the array over here. So it was 3 rows of 4, so I'm going to do that. That's 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows. So that's this equation right here, 3 times 4, 3 rows of 4. So with changing the order of the factors, you're going to turn it. So if we turn it, I am going to take this and I am going to go ahead and turn it. So it's going to turn on its side. When it turns on its side, now I'm going to have 4 rows of 3. And now it looks like this. Okay, so that is my 4 rows of 3 now. So I took it and I turned it. So now it's easier for me to go ahead and multiply because, like I said before, we're just starting our 4s, so we might not know how to skip count by 4s, but we have been practicing our 3s, so we can go ahead and skip count our 3s. So let's do a skip count on the side. This would be 3, 6, 9, 12. So now we know it's a total of 12, but let's go ahead and write the multiplication equation for this. So the first one, again, is always going to be your rows, then your columns, and your total. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, so this is going to be 4. And then I have 3 in each row, or 3 columns, so this is 3. Now I know that my total is 12, so this is going to be 12. So this is what they mean by changing the order of the factors. These are the factors. The factors are the numbers that you are multiplying. So my factors here was 4 and 3, and over here it was 3 and 4. Same factors, the order just changed. That's what they mean by changing the orders. And how we get the orders to change, we take the array and we turn it. That's how it changes. So let's go to number 2. Number 2 says, explain why you broke apart the array or changed the order of the factors. Well, the reason why we would change the arrays by breaking it apart or by even turning it to change the order of our factors is because it makes it easier for us to solve in case we don't have numbers that we don't know yet. So we can make it into numbers that are easier to solve. So I'm going to put it makes it easier to solve if we use numbers we know. All right, so that is number 1 and number 2. I am going to go ahead and go to the next page, which is page 142, and I'm going to go to number 3. Number 3 says complete these 4 facts using any strategy you choose. So we are going to complete those 4 facts. So what Ms. Newman is going to do, I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 of them with you, and then I'm going to leave the rest for you to do so you can practice. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my second board because I already have it up for us, so I don't have to write it while you're waiting. So this is the number 3. So the ones I'm going to complete are the ones we should know already, which is we already have been working with our 1s, we've been working with 10s, and we've been working with 5. So these are the 3 that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to leave the other 3 for you to do. So 1 times 4, because we know our 1s, we know this is automatically going to be 4. Then we have 10 times 4. Okay, we know our 10s. We know 10 times 4 is going to be 40. And then our 5s, 5 times 4, we know our 5s. When we skip count, we know that is going to be 20. Now, another way you can solve these is to actually write the skip count out on the side. So I'm going to write out the skip count. So that is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. And I went all the way up to 10. So this is 1, I like to double check so I'm going to count just to make sure I have it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. That's if we skip counting on our fingers, that's 10. Okay, so what you can do, because all of these are skip counting by 4, I did a skip count by 4. The number in the front tells you which number to stop on. So I am doing 1 times 4. That means I'm going to stop on the first number here. And that's how I know it's 4. Okay, so if I am doing 10 times 4, I'm going to stop on the 10th number. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now I know 10 times 4 is 40. Or if I'm doing the last one, which is 5 times 4, I'm going to stop on the 5th number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how I know 5 times 4 is 40. So that's another way you can try with your skip counting to solve these. And then, like I said, I'm going to leave B, C, and E for you to try. Okay, we're going to go to the last part of the homework. Okay, so this is the last part of the homework. This is numbers 4 through 6. And numbers 4 through 6, it says, use the array at the right to solve problems 4 through 6. I went ahead and drew the array for us. So again, so you won't have to wait for me to draw it. I did it already. So it says for number 4, Bronson drew the array to solve a problem. What multiplication problem is he trying to solve? So Bronson drew this array. And he's trying to solve a multiplication problem, but we don't know just yet what multiplication problem he's trying to solve. We just know that we have the array. But we can figure this out, because remember, when we have arrays, we can write underneath the blanks what they mean. So for the array, the first number is always going to be your rows. The second number is the columns, or how many is in each row. So if I look at this, I count the rows, and that tells me my first number. So let's count the rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is 9. And I'm going to put 9 rows. Okay, let's go to the columns. So I have 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. So 4 columns, so this is going to be 4. So this is the multiplication equation, our expression, our fact that he was trying to solve. He's trying to solve 9 times 4, which means 9 rows with 4 in each row, or 9 rows with 4 columns. Okay, let's go to number 5. Number 5 says circle columns to break the array into two parts. So now they want us to do that break apart strategy. Because like I said, today we just started our fours. So fours might be new for some of us. So that now we're gonna break it up into something smaller so that we can go ahead and solve it. And the smaller numbers are gonna be numbers we've already worked with. So let's go ahead and keep reading. It says, then fill in the blanks to show how you can use the parts to solve the problem. Okay, so let's start by breaking it apart. So how you're gonna break it apart? Well, there are two ways you can break it apart. Like I said before, last week we practiced breaking it apart with only one column and then 3 columns. Or we can do like we did today and just do it straight down the middle. So I'm going to do it straight down the middle since that's what the lesson focused on today. And it makes it easier because now both arrays will always have the same equation. So let's go ahead and solve this. So let's look at this first side, this first array, the smaller one that I broke it up into. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 rows, so that means the first number is going to be 9. Because remember, the first number is always your rows. Now let's go to the columns here. Well, I have 2 columns now. So this is going to be 2. Okay, so let's go to the second array right here. So again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to put 9 right here. And then I have 1, 2 columns. So 2. So these are the 2 multiplication equations for each array. This is 9 times 2 for this side, 9 times 2 for this side. Okay, notice in the middle there is an addition sign. That's because once we figure out what these are, we have to put them back together to get the big equation, which is 9 times 4. So we're going to have to add them back together. That's why there's an addition sign in between there. So let's go ahead and continue. So then it says, so blank plus blank. Okay, so now we need to solve these multiplication equations. So we need to figure out what's 9 times 2. Well, we can figure it out because, like I said, we practiced our skip counting by 2s, so we can just go ahead and skip count by 2. So that's what I'm going to do on the side. So this will be 2, then 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So I skip counted by my 2s, and when I got to the last row, it was 18. So now I know this first 9 times 2 is 18. All right, let's go to the second 9 times 2, which is for this part of the array. So again, there are 2 in each row, so I'm going to skip count by 2 again. So this is 2. And I know you might be saying, Ms. Newman, you know it's the same thing. Why not just go and put the answer? Well, that just gets us in the practice of skip counting. The more practice, the more we'll be able to get them like this. So that's why I'm doing it again, because I just want to practice my skip counting. So this is 2, then 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So again, I got 18. So that means for 9 times 2, on this side, it is going to be 18. So now I know I have my answers, my totals for both equations. Remember, the totals are also called the product. Product is one of our vocabulary words. It means the answer to the multiplication equations or expressions. These are the equations or expressions, and these are the answers. These are the products. So now we have the totals. The next thing, because they're separate, we have to add them back together so that it can make the big one again. So let's add it back up together. Well, 18 plus 18 is going to equal 36. So now we know that we have a total or a product of 36. Now we can go ahead and answer number 4. So number 4, I'm going to write here. So it says so. So now they're saying so, since we've done all that, now we know that this 9 times 4, because now we're trying to figure out, we putting it back together to figure out the whole thing now. So 9 times 4 is going to be 36. And you might say, well, I can just count them all. Yes, you can count them all. You can check it by counting them all together. You can count all your squares, and if you count all your squares, you will get 36. So that could be a quick check just to make sure you are doing it correctly. So now let's go to number 6. Number 6 says, describe another way you can break apart the same array to solve the problem. So that's what I was telling you before. Instead of going ahead and breaking it apart in half, then you can actually, let's see if I can erase this without messing up the squares. Let's see. So far, so good, guys. So far, so good. All right. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the numbers on the side. Okay, so this is what it looks like again, without all the breaking apart before and the numbers. So they want to know what's another way we could break it apart. Well, just like I told you before we got started with this, you could do 1 column and 3. So if you do that, that means the multiplication equation for this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my first number would be 9 times, well, how many do I have in each row? I have 1 in each row. So 1, and then I could count them all together to see how much I have all together. This would equal 9. Okay, and then it asks, let's go to this side of the array. This one still has 9 rows. We can count to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 for my first number, because 9 is for the rows. First number is always your rows. So then we go to the columns. I have 1, 2, 3 columns. Columns are my second number, so I'm putting 3. Okay, then we can skip count by 3s because we've been practicing our 3s. If we skip count by 3s, that'll give us the answer. So let's do a skip count by 3 on the side. That's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. So now we know that 9 times 3 is 27. The next thing would be to add all this together. Let me see if I can shrink this down so we could, there we go, have some room. All right, so let's add it all together. So you're gonna take your totals from both sides of the array. This one was 9 and this one was 27. You're gonna add them together. 9 plus 27. Well, 9 plus 27 is going to be 36. So it doesn't matter where you break it apart, because the factors or the numbers didn't change, the 9 and the 4 doesn't change, we still will get the same answer. So if you broke it apart in the middle, we got 36. If you broke it apart after the first column, we'll still get 36. So again, it doesn't matter where you break it apart, the numbers or the factors do not change. 9 and 4 will still remain the same. So the answer will still be the same. So let's go back to the question. It says, describe another way you can break it apart. Well, you can say we can break it apart into, the first equation was 9 times 1. And the second equation was 9 times 3. So we can break it apart into that. And then we would get the same total. Okay, so that was our lesson for today. Again, I want to make sure I iterate that the strategies we worked on today was break apart and also taking the array and turning it so that it'll give you easier numbers to skip count by. So that is it for today. Make sure you're practicing that skip counting, because remember, if you can skip count, you can multiply. I will see you guys on tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.